Mabuhay, kapatids! My name is Stephanie.
And my name is Aimee, and welcome to the Babaylan Bruja Book Club podcast.
We have come together in efforts to decolonize our minds, our bodies, and reconnect with spirit by ways of relation via conversation, of education, interpretation, and integration.
So, this is our invitation for you to join us on our journey as we discuss works from honored artists, authors, and thought leaders from the Filipinx diaspora. Quick disclaimer: we want to acknowledge that everyone is consciously where they need to be.
And we are not experts, but we are sharing our own unique lived experiences.
Hello again.
Hi, Sassy Sass.
Hi. Hi, sis.
Hi.
Hi. Welcome back to the Aimee and Steph
Babaylan Bruja show. I don't know.
improv.
Yes.
We should go to some improv. Ooh, we should do some Babaylan improv.
Babaylan Bruja improv. We
That'd
can
be
improv some spells and shit.
Okay. That would be a lit mic night.
Yeah. Oh, improv some blessings and stuff.
Yes.
Manifestations.
Yes.
Some incantations. Some ancestral blessings.
Some antings.
Antings. Yes.
Speaking of antings, which is the topic of today, sis, I'm admiring your shirt in this anting.
So this is an anting made by Kapwa, La Lohan Flow.
Beautiful.
They are on the Instagram. And check out the shirts. What? Hey, it's backwards. It's gonna be backwards on the thing.
Will it? Oh man,
that's okay. Abulario, Catalonan, Mumbaki.
Tell him.
Maaram, and Babaylan. It's merch, y'all.
Come see the model. Come by support. And as always, some of the percentages goes to the Liang Network in the Philippines.
Yes.
We're actually thinking we're going to send this to the typhoon funds. So.
Yeah. So if you haven't checked out the shop, go check it out. And thanks for always listening and supporting and just being there. So yeah.
Thanks for being here. I didn't get the t-shirt. I got the t-shirt memo, but Clay is coming back today. So I have to represent for the Bay. So any listeners that are Warrior fans, so tonight's going to be a good game.
Yes. Go sports. Ate Aimee doesn't know nothing about sports, okay?
Listen, I get it. The pandemic kind of threw me off, but Clay is a vet. So
all right, Clay. Let's go, Clay.
Clay Bay. Hey. And as always, before we begin, we want to take a moment to ground. Taking a pause to drop into our bodies and become fully present in this space. So if it's safe for you, we invite you to close your eyes, straighten your spine, and direct your focus into your breath. So kind of taking a few deep inhales. When you inhale, extend your belly out. And as you exhale, bring it back in. And I just invite y'all to do it 2 more times, if you like. Just connect back into your body and come back into this present moment. And as we begin our conversation, we'd like to thank Bathala, Bathalismo, God, for another beautiful day in this gathering. In gratitude, we acknowledge our benevolent ancestors and invite them into the conversation today. Much respect to the ancestors of the lands Aimee and I reside on, knowing that we cannot do our own remembrance work without remembering them. For Aimee, that is the Shawnee, Miami, Hopewell, and Adena people in Ohio. And for myself, that is the Bay Miwok Yokuts tribe in California. Tribes. We also acknowledge and invite in our guides, the seen and unseen source to be with us. Like I said, Bathala. And support us and guide us in this conversation. We pray that they support and guide you too. And with gratitude, we also acknowledge your presence, your energy, your light, no matter wherever and whenever you're tuning in.
Yay. Thank you, sis.
You're welcome.
Okay. So we do a decolonizing heart check, 90 seconds, because we're challenging ourselves to pare down our conversation, which we haven't yet, but that's okay. You know, it's a goal. It's a goal, you know?
Yes.
And then we'll go into the Brown Girl Cliff Notes and then our words and quotes. So
your turn first.
Me first? Okay, you gonna
timer up.
Okay.
1 minute and 30 seconds. All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
So what has been coming up for me as far as decolonization, you know, so January 1st came around. This is New Year, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if maybe it's a decolonizing time and decolonizing like hustle mentality or something, but you know what happens on January 1st. Everyone's like, okay, I got these goals.
Year, new me.
Yeah, new year, new me. And so like I love that energy, honestly. Like I love the collective energy of, okay, let's start anew.
Reset, yes.
Yes. And like I found myself getting caught up in, okay, my goals aren't big enough. I'm not doing enough. I'm not like I don't have my eye on the prize. And then I was like, but what? This is just a calendar year. And honestly, the cosmos gives you time for reset every day.
Yes, come on.
Every month with this moon cycles, right? And
Yeah.
so I don't have to, right? I don't have to beat myself up for not setting some big giant 2022 goal. And you know, I don't need to, oh, there we go. That's it. I don't need to do that.
Huh? You don't need to do that.
Yeah, I don't need to do that. So I just I get to relax and not get caught up.
And not get caught up. And I feel like you've still been killing the game, sis.
Thank you, sis.
And yeah, that's wonderful. I think it allows folks to move with more authenticity because, you know, when you're charged up and you're grounded, which takes time of rest as well as movement. And yeah, so I see you, sis. She's out there. She has some offerings coming. Don't you worry. And got these episodes coming out, you know. She's momming. So that, if I had a hat, I'd tip it. I'm tipping it.
Thank you, sis. Thank you.
Mothers.
I'm going to take that in. Thank
Mompreneurs. You. I love y'all's. You're my ates.
Thank you. Okay. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. And go.
What am I decolonizing? Okay. Lately, let's say I can't really think of anything like super like as like bigger picture like that. Like I wanted to go talk about like my breakfast. Yeah. I was like, I want to play. I love like being able to get I love cooking shows when I was on fun employed after grad school or whatever, looking for jobs. I was watching a lot of cooking channels. So I love Chopped. And this morning my partner wanted some like we talked about having French toast. So I was like, what if I took these Hawaiian sweet rolls and made some French toast with it? So because it's already sweet and I had vanilla, eggs. We were already eating an egg sandwich. I was like, So I don't know, that's like really decolonizing, but it's like, I feel like that's how Filipinos is. Like they play with things and they kind of get reinventive. That's why there's like a million different pansits out there.
Yeah.
And so it speaks to, this is a different rabbit hole for conversation, but like our resilience of how we roll with the punches and we still make it delicious. It literally was delicious, y'all. I'm gonna post a picture on my story later. I'll tag the no, I don't know.
No,
But
tag us. That's fine.
Yeah, so, and I had my plant-based milks in there. Thank you for telling me. Anyways, so
yay.
In a ways, my foods too, because I'm like, let's not put dairy in this because we're already using butter. But anyway, yeah.
That's fun. I love Chopped too. Oh my gosh. I love that show, Chopped.
Right?
Yeah.
I love that. I love food. It's part of the culture. And so yeah, decolonizing and finding ways to have fun with it.
Yeah, joy and just slowing down, creativity, that definitely is decolonized, what is it called, like resiliency, just survival and life, right? So yeah,
you get to eat it too.
I know. Where was my invite?
I know. I made some. I'll make some next time we see each other.
Okay, yay.
All right. Oh, that was dun dun dun. This is a transition song.
Bum 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 bum. I don't know.
Well, sis, where's the instruments though? Because you are a musically talented, multi-dimensional pianist, singerist. Like
singerist.
I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for these transitions. Cool.
You play the ukulele too.
I know. I'm staring at it. Like I could just go.
I mean, those are ideas.
I don't play it like you though. Like, hey, y'all, can I put you on a positive blast?
Okay.
Low key.
Okay.
So I'm learning ook one season, 1 month, and Amy's like, yeah, I went to hang out with my family, and I learned like 3 songs. I was like, in a day, like. Like that, I'm still trying to master 1. Like,
oh.
Anyways, I'll say we just waiting for the concert, sister.
Oh well, that'll be a study break, but y'all have to pay for that one.
Hey, it'll be on our fans only Patreon.
Our Patreon. Did you say
the Patreon?
The fun.
What's that panty website, huh? What you both doing?
Oh my gosh. The Patreon. The Pans Only website.
Pans Only. Okay. Yeah.
It's that Only Pans.
What is that?
What is that? Okay.
All right. Cliff notes.
Okay. Here we go. Brown girl Cliff notes. Here we go. So this chapter was written by Nenita Pambid Domingo, and it is Anting Anting Why Bathala Hides Inside the Stone. So to summarize, in her 2-year-long research, Nenita Pambid Domingo sought to answer the question of whatever happened to the native god of the Filipinos when the Spanish Catholic God and its host of angels vanquished the quote unquote heathens and their gods. So her research led her to the myth of Doctrine of Infinito Dios, or infinite God. So this myth tells how the 3 persons in one God struggled against the Infinito Dios, also known as Nuno, or ancestor. The Nuno said he could not by any means be baptized by Jesus, since the Nuno is Jesus's forefather, the first and the only God who holds all the power and the wellspring of all the forces in the universe. In the end, the Infinito Dios, aka the Nuno, finally succumbed to the wishes of Jesus, but only through his own power. So he said, I'll be baptized, but in my own way. And that was how Nuno, the ancestor, had supposedly come to be baptized, but actually not. So this myth and the oraciones, or the power words, were put into symbols in this amulet called the Infinito Dios amulet. There it is. This is also why you should go see us on the YouTube, so you
Tell
can
him.
see the
Shameless
brown
plug.
girl Cliff Notes picture right
Shameless
here.
visual plug.
Yes. And
It's also on
so
page 53 for those like listening and trying to follow through that way.
yes. So that amulet became known as Anting Anting. That was the original Anting Anting. And because of the story of power and sovereign agency on this amulet over the centuries, the Anting Anting has served as a symbol of agency and played a significant role in the Filipino people's motivation and ideation in fighting for freedom and in defending the motherland. It was used by Emilio Aguinaldo, the first president of the Republic of the Philippines in 1898.
Number one.
And by other revolutionaries such as Andres Bonifacio. So history points to these marginalized groups as the users of the Anting Anting in their noble fight against invading colonizers. Today, the most common uses of the Anting Anting are for healing, protection against physical and spiritual dangers, and it remains a symbol of the Filipinos' deeply rooted connection to the Filipino genius and the indigenous soul. Brown girl Cliff Notes.
Good storytelling, sis.
Thank you. It helped to write all that down because it was confusing.
It was. I was like
what? Yeah.
Yeah. That speaks to how complex our history is, right? And to recover it. Crazy. But
yeah.
You know what's weird? Like decolonizing, it's like decolonizing the story of Adam and Eve. It's like, oh, the Father, Son, Holy Spirit is like, this is the pre-colonial Father, Son, Holy Spirit breakdown. How about that?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it was interesting to me because I didn't know that the original Anting Anting was about this myth, this mythology. And so I have an Anting Anting made. It's for protection and, connection to the ancestors. But obviously it doesn't look like what we just saw on page 53, 52, whatever. So it's just interesting to me. I love how it's kind of like your French toast, like
a twist,
right?
That's what we do. We combine names, toast, antings.
Yes, exactly.
Joe Claire, Joe Bell,
yeah,
Jen Mike.
Yeah. So yeah, like I love how it's kind of evolved into, okay, here's a crystal and this is what it symbolizes, and now you can wear it for that sort of situation. It's not necessarily this specific amulet, so
yeah. I'm wearing my Linglingo from Amerto, Lagitan, and I realized I could give it the power. I think that's what it is. It's like you being the creator of your own reality, and like what power do you want to give to this amulet, which is essentially what it is. So twist. That's cool. Thank you for your summary, sis. Do you feel complete?
I do. Do you? All right. Vocab words. So I can go first.
Ooh, look, did y'all hear that little vibrato come out through Sissy? I'm also blooming trying to coach her to
vocab.
Like, oh, okay. There you
go. That's like that when you're at the Filipino party and they're like, oh, sing, like karaoke. You're like, I can't sing. Wait a minute. Give me the mic.
That's our next TikTok. Make it. Yeah. Filipino TikTok.
Okay. So I had several vocabulary words. So
words, right?
On page 47, They are talking about how before Ferdinand Magellan claimed the Republic of the Philippines for Philip II of Spain, the people of the islands believed in Anito, so the spirit of the ancestor or of nature. So we believed in animism, the doctrine that all life is produced by a spiritual force separate from matter, and that all natural phenomena have souls independent of their physical being. So everything has spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So to Filipinos, human beings have a spiritual component, a spirit or soul called kaluluwa. So kaluluwa means spirit, and anito means the spirit of the ancestor or of nature. And so it's interesting to me, they also want to go on to say that the concept of kaluluwa is widespread in different ethno-linguistic groups in the Philippines, because, you know, we weren't a monolith before we were colonized. We had different ethnic linguistic groups. And so they say that this concept is widespread and the linguistic evidence supports this. So in Tagalog, the term for the non-physical aspect of a human or the spirit is kaluluwa. And in Ilocano, it's karurua.
Mm-hmm.
In Kapampangan, it is kaladua. In Bicol and Bisaya, it's kalag. So the belief in the spirit and the belief in the soul/spirit can be linked to the Southeast Asian belief in spirit possession and shamanism. So I thought that was kind of cool how, you know, there, even though we weren't like one, like we weren't a monolith, right? But this specific idea of kaluluwa was throughout the islands, and you can even hear it, kaluluwa in Tagalog, and then karurua and kaladua all kind of like sound very similar, right?
Yeah. That ethno-linguistic piece.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of that song too by she sings it. Is she from the Bay? She's from LA. She's a Filipinx artist. Or I'm sorry, I don't know their pronouns. Remember we played in the Mayani circle. Kaluluwa. We sang it.
Oh yeah, is it
Yeah, Gising na.
Gising
Right?
na?
Yeah. I forgot her name. Soul Tree sounds. Soul Tree?
Soul tree? Like a tree of soul?
Soul Tree. Damn.
I don't remember.
No, there's so many. Yeah, it's Soul Tree. It's called Gising na.
Gising na.
I want to play it for y'all. Is that weird?
Kaluluwa, gising ka na. Gising na. Gising na. Kamuka. Gising ka na. Gising na. Katawan. Gising na. Kaisahan. Gising na. Kaluluwa.
Okay. So you kind of get an idea. And it
Yeah.
progresses.
And gising na means wake up. So gising na kaluluwa. Wake up to your spirit.
Wake up, souls.
Wake up.
So if you listening, that's an extra. Wake up. Yes. Yeah, check out Soul Tree. Very humble artist. I don't know them personally, but the interaction online, very nice. Very nice. So, and they created a Tulugna song. So
yeah, Tulugna.
Remember we sang it? Yeah, V had us sing it in our, I mean, I met our sister circle. V, yeah, she sing it, which was like, that was when I was like, "Ooh, okay, who's this artist?" Some music. Yeah. Anyways, kaluluwa, yeah, that it's a pretty word. I'm starting to really honestly appreciate our language, like part of the decolonizing too. Like, you know how people make fun of Tagalog? It sounds like chicken talk or whatever, all the stereotypes, right? I'm like, actually, there's just such a history to it that I'm like proud of it. So,
Yeah. Yeah. It's
anyway,
beautiful. It's linguistically beautiful, but we were taught that those sounds are not as beautiful as European sounds like French or
yeah, Spanish, Hispanic, and they're all beautiful. Yes,
yeah, they're all beautiful.
but so is ours.
Hmm.
Anyway, I held my fist up in the air.
Yeah.
For y'all. My brown fist. Yeah, Kaluluwa. It was like a great way to like I don't want to cut you off, sis, if you had some thoughts before
Nope.
I
I
okay.
am complete.
Yeah, so just kind of saying Kaluluwa, like around that area on page 49, it says Christianity appropriated the native concept of the Kaluluwa to contain the new Catholic theological concept of the soul.
Yeah.
So it's just so interesting that it's like an invitation, I feel like, for, you know, if y'all's ever sit around the table again, holiday season or not, with your cousins, and you're talking about, you know, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, or if that even comes into your household. But, you know, when you do Father, Son, Holy Spirit, whatever, think about how the colonizers did like mask a concept we already knew about. So there's an innate wisdom that was always there. And this word is a representation of it. So,
Yeah. Yes.
anywho,
Beautiful.
I feel complete.
Yeah.
Yay. Okay. So, Nuno was my word. I wanted to dive into a little bit more because this decolonizing process for me, like I took a Nuno Gamot herbalism course with Ate Angela. She's a respective other ways of seeing on Instagram for her work and or their work. I'm sorry, I don't know their pronouns as well, but Nuno was interesting of how it was ancestor. It's ancestor. So a lot of the decolonizing for me in the past year, definitely for sure, because 2020 was a portal for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, this is an ancestral medicine course, which was really, at the time, I didn't realize the depth and the weight of like to be in that environment, right? It was like I followed the breadcrumbs when I was in it. I was like, wow. Like, so when Nuno came on, or Nuno popped up in the text again for this chapter, it was like a reactivation of like kind of like connecting the lines of the dots,
right,
all of it together. And yeah, it's like a recognition of like familiarity, like feeling at home, or recognizing that I'm coming into like my own human experience, and recognizing my Filipinx roots and the spirit within me. Like it's all there. So it's nice to have this word as a connection, like a dot or a line for it. So yeah, I really wanted to celebrate that word Nuno, because I think Ate Angela is still offering those classes. So if you're listening and you're still interested, there will be definitely more rounds. I see them emerging much more with so many fantastic offerings that I feel like a lot of Filipinx, if you're really interested. I mean, yeah, it was lovely to hear more about like our medicines that we have in the Philippines. You know, it goes past more than just ampalaya. Like there's flowers and roots and all that stuff. And there's a lot of medicine to it.
Yeah, I just started following Ate Angela. And yeah, I just looked at Angela's Instagram. It doesn't say her pronouns, their pronouns, but yeah, the offerings are legit. They're rich. So I'm really inspired by her. So go check her out if you can.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. If you want to keep deepening your practice with connecting with your ancestral, she's a great facilitator. Babaylan Bruja book club, whether she knows it or not, or they know it or not, I think highly. So
yes. Yeah.
Anyways. And they like, my skin was breaking out. So all the herb recommended. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. One time I was like, sis, your skin though is glowing. Like when she came to visit me, like in person, not just like on the screen with like good lighting. Like I saw her
Right.
in person and her face. I was like, what's up with your face? I mean,
Aw.
you're beautiful anyway, but just like your skin was just so even and like glowing. I was like, what? So
No, thanks.
yeah.
It's the plants and the inner work.
That it's the inner work, but also ancestral plants. That's also inner work.
Man,
You know?
they have my back, and I thank them
Mhm.
for it every day. Like, thank you.
Mhm.
I take these tinctures. Like, thank you, plants.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah. So Nuno, Nuno pops up a lot in this chapter. So invite y'all to connect with it in a way that feels right for you. So.
Yeah, and so JL Creator, she has the Capuatero deck. And I think Nuno is one of the, I'm seeing it in my head, it's like one of the cards. Yeah, so
we should do a divination one of our opens next time.
okay.
Right?
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I feel complete.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. So we'll move on to our 2 quotes. Mine is from page 63. It's kind of at the end where it's kind of summarizing everything. And you know, we just talked about the myth of the Infinito Dios, right? And so one of the things that Nenita Domingo says here is she quotes somebody else and says, there's a saying that, quote unquote, in order to understand a people, one has to know their myth. And the anting-anting is just one element of our indigenous mythology, richly textured, inverting worlds like a trickster, refusing capitulation to a monocultural rendering of reality and the world, i.e., for those who have eyes to see and ears to hear and listen. First of all, I thought that was a very beautiful and clever last way to end the chapter. For those who have eyes to see and ears to hear and listen, that's like a direct quote from Jesus. Those who have eyes to see, those who have ears to hear.
Am I getting tingles?
Yeah. Okay. So and then this is the anting, like the myth is all about Nuno not saying like, how can I be baptized by you, Jesus, when I am your forefather, basically, when I came before you, right? So I don't know, it's just like it feels like circular, it feels very mythological, right? And so it also reminded me of, you know, when we met in Sister Circle for V's Container Mayati, remember she had us write our myth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's still, thank you for reminding me of that one. Well, that's been, a part of my writing. Yeah. I've been working with that character that came from that exercise.
Nice. Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I just thought the idea of understanding a people, one has to understand their myth. And it reminded me of writing when V had us write our own myth, and just thinking like, yeah, like if someone were to read that part of my story, they would understand me on a different level, right? And so just this particular myth, it's so what was confusing, like I said at first, there's a lot of characters, a lot of things happening, but just that this was such an important myth. And like it tells about us, about pre-colonial Philippines, about our Nuno, about our ancestors, about our resiliency, about how we do things in our own way. We're like, yeah, okay, we'll be baptized, but not really, and I'm going to do it my way. Right? And so I think it's just and that's what we've done. That's what the Filipino
make it our own.
Right. Exactly. We were not a monolith. We were not even one nation. And then we said, okay, you're going to colonize us and make us one nation. Okay, cool. But we're going to do it our own way. We're going to have our own identity in it. Okay, you want to make us one because we're colonized. Now we're really going to be one, and now we're going to decolonize because we are one. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, there's just like a lot of levels and a lot of intricacies that you can be like really study it and really study the amulet and really study the story of the anting. Like,
yeah,
there's a lot that we can get inspiration from and understand about ourselves, right? So
yeah, I think the hunting, it's kind of like it says in the same paragraph, it's served as holders of ancient memory, commemorating stubborn resistance to colonial domination, encoding resilience and creativity in the face of impossible odds, and an overwhelming assault on indigenous cultural integrity. So it's like kind of what we were saying in the beginning, like it is what the value or the what you give to it, right? And we talked about this times before. It says about ancestral joy, and right now this is a different rabbit hole, but like the resilience of how Filipinos have to be resilient, but it's like we're already supposed to be naturally resilient, and we're already naturally resilient, but it's like we don't want to be resilient,
right?
Typhoon, stuff like that,
right?
But anywho, I just bring that up because I think my family has an unting, but my grandfather actually declined it because of one of the definitions of unting being it's like a responsibility he didn't want to take on. So that was an interesting story that already in itself, right? Unting is inviting me to go back and see what that means for the family.
Yeah. Do you know? So your grandfather was offered it and he didn't take it? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think like there were siblings and someone was supposed to be handed down to him, but there's, again, it's the deep state of colonization within the family lineage that he didn't want to own, or maybe wasn't in the space to acknowledge intuitive gifts that may come with the unting. And so it was already like demonized in his eyes because the church did that. And so I don't know who inherited it, but it's somewhere. But I feel like every family kind of has an unting.
Watch it come back to you somehow.
Oh, girl. Well, if it does, it does.
Like, if it does, it does.
So.
Yeah. Like when I pre-decolonization for me, whenever like I didn't really hear about an unting, but when I did, it was an instrument. It was a symbol that like literally held spirits, evil spirits. Like, don't wear it because it's evil, like literally evil spirits inside of there.
Yeah, that's exactly why they said no. Or my grandfather said no. Or my
But it's not. Wow.
I know. So that, it's crazy. That's why this chapter was intriguing to me to read about. So
yeah, so I'm complete in that.
So my quote is on page 52. And you kind of covered in the beginning with the Brown Girl Cliff Notes summary, but again, it's the Nuno. I guess I thought it was really fascinating. It's like after much struggle and persuasion, the Nuno acceded to wish his grandson to baptize him, but on condition that he would be baptized only through his own power, just like the elders in the Philippine culture who gives way to the whims and caprice of the young, but actually remains in control.
Right.
And it was just my Aquarius energy, sis, but I feel like some ways, again, I love and respect my elders, but it's a little bit problematic in that we have to consider the new paradigms of ways to listen to our youth. Because some of the old ways, while it's sacred, I think the energy and the values, they've been misconstrued because it's like, they're very much about respect me. But in reality, there are situations where it's like, I'm respecting you, but it's harming me. And that has led to a lot of sickness or dis-ease within the Filipinx diaspora. I'm so curious because I think one of the books I'm hoping we dive into Brown Skin, White Minds is like,
We will.
yeah, they talked about depression and mental health rates in the Filipinx community, how it's high. So, I think for me, what comes through is how we have been called to always respect our elders and their wishes. But in reality, it's like, we're in this era now, Age of Aquarius, of like questioning things and figuring out our own paths and purpose, and how that when you walk with integrity, when you walk in that space, you're less likely to be at a state of disease. Generally speaking, okay, very generally speaking. But so I don't know. I guess like my perspective to bring to that is how Nuno, this mythical character, the all-knowing God, was able to quote unquote bow down, but still remain. It's very deep. Like there's a lot of ways to dissect that.
Yeah, there's levels.
But I think also it traces back to the thing of like the answer, love. Like the answer is love. It's like, if that's your grandson, even though you don't want to like bow down or like be like, oh, you're in charge now, the grandson's gonna take over anyway, you know what I mean? Physical body. So I feel like that's where it's interesting. It's like the caprice of the young, but actually remains in control. And I mean, I'm a coach or a health educator, and like control, I think, doesn't honor sovereignty. So it's like, where am I going with this? The grandson and the grandfather, the Nuno, the fact that the grandfather Nuno is able to let go and let the grandson Jesus baptize speaks to this eliminating that final veil of separation, because it's all tied at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So, because then, like, if you talk about grandfather, it's like, my blood is in you anyway.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what they mean by control, but I don't know.
Well, how I saw it was, well, Jesus in this particular myth represents the colonizers, right? So, yeah, because who brought Jesus? The Spaniards brought Jesus. So the Nuno is the ancestor. Jesus is the Spaniards. And so they're like, you got to be baptized. And they're like, but I've been here. Like, I don't understand.
I like this perspective, sis. Yeah.
And then so they were like, okay, well, I can see what you're saying. So I'll be baptized, but I'm still going to keep my sovereignty. So maybe that's what they mean by control, as in like, you can't control me. I still have my sovereignty, even though I'm being baptized by you.
Ooh, that's a breakthrough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, the veil of separation.
Yeah. But it's interesting that, Jesus, from how I understood it, like Jesus represents the colonizers.
Right. Well, this is off topic, but kind of on topic. Like, my partner, I have this conversation about marijuana and cannabis. Marijuana is actually a made up word by the government, like that it's illegal or bad. But in reality, it's cannabis is the original name, and that's the medicine.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So, yeah, just some thing to consider, like how many words and concepts and objects and stories are colonized, and
gosh, it's so many levels.
It's the same thing. Oh, I know. Sorry, my head hurt too.
No, it's okay. It's good. It's good. It's good.
Look at my fancy glasses.
You are so cozy.
Worried out today.
Yes.
Anyway,
yeah, that's that's a lot.
I know. Well, this is where we pause and let y'all take or toss. So yeah,
take or toss. Y'all comment down below or drop in our DMs. Let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
How do you have an unthing? Do you have one like a modern day one? Do you have one that's passed down in your family? Or how do you view Jesus? You know, and what is your relationship with Jesus?
Dios.
Yeah, like, but you know, for real, like as someone who used to be in the church and used to claim Christianity, like hearing this story as Jesus as a colonizer, like it's just very interesting. I already have an interesting relationship with Jesus as it is. So so yeah, it's a lot. So take deep breaths, everybody.
Take deep breaths. We gonna be okay.
We are. So are you complete, my love?
I feel complete.
Okay. All right. So, as we end our conversation and close out this container, with gratitude, we again wanted to bring recognition and honor to our Nunos, our ancestors, and all the ancestors of this occupied land, of any listeners tuning in across the diaspora. Thank you for joining our conversation today. And as we end, we leave you with a blessing. May you continue to cultivate your kalulua. May the Nuno, the ancestors, continue to guide your life and myth. May you walk in healing, protection, and connection to your indigenous soul. May Kapwa grow in your heart. And until we meet again, may you know that all is well and will be well, and that no matter what happens, you are loved. That one was good. I felt it. Did you feel it? I felt it. Okay.
Yay!